What if I told you the greatest political comeback in history didn't happen in America, but in ancient Judea? Yep, brace yourself. Because today, Donald J. Trump is going back 2,000 years to meet the original King of Kings. Spoiler alert, he's not impressed by the sandals. He arrives at noon with a flap of hot wind. One moment picturing chrome and escalators, the next blinking in sunlight that stings. The air tastes of dust and olives. Donkeys bray. A boy runs past with figs in his tunic. No towers, no golf greens, no golden letters. Only stone, sandals, and a noisy market. Where are the hotels? He mutters, patting his jacket as if a concierge might fall out. Where's catering? Where's anything? Romans notice first, the odd coat, the odder hair. A spear lifts. Trump meets suspicion with a grin and strides between baskets of dates and spinning pottery, leaving whispers behind him. He finds a crowd, faces tilted toward a young rabbi on a step, voice low and clear. The man speaks of lilies and easy yokes, of hearts that carry more than coins. The hush feels to Trump like an empty ballroom. Surely it needs a chandelier. He squares his shoulders and steps forward. "Folks," he declares, hands conducting invisible trumpets.
Incredible gathering, tremendous turnout.
The rabbi's eyes lift, patient as shade. "I'm a very stable genius," Trump continues, "and I have a plan, big plan, to make Judea great again. We co-brand salvation. 2 names, 1 message. Think about it." Jesus studies him, a heartbeat. "Let's do partnerships," Trump presses on. Trump and Jesus, co-messiahs, miracles and management. Loaves, fish, and logistics. People love logistics. A child giggles. A Pharisee frowns like a closing ledger. The rabbi speaks, voice warm as bread. "Friend, the kingdom of God is not a market stall." "Totally agree," says Trump, nodding. "But it can have better signage." "The sign is the heart changed," says Jesus. "It cannot be leased." Trump pivots. "We do rallies. Big energy. I'm seeing hats, good hats, fisherman endorsements. Peter, great name. John, good with messaging." Peter and John glance at each other, equal parts baffled and amused, as if a camel just offered to keep the books. "Blessed are the poor in spirit," says Jesus, "for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Sure, Trump replies. "But we also need the wealthy. They build things, walls, nice walls." "The walls I speak of fall when love arrives," Jesus says softly. A breeze turns a page in the day. For a moment, Trump feels the oddest sensation. This teacher's calm is not weakness, but a door without a handle. He shakes it off and flashes the smile again. "Look, Rabbi, you're doing great work, really the best. But you need scale, deal-making. I can negotiate with Rome. No more bad deals. They'll love it." "Blessed are the peacemakers," Jesus answers, "for they shall be called children of God." Trump leans in. "Be straight with me. Are you planning a run? Because if you're not, I could be very helpful." "King of the Jews," great title. Polls would be huge. "My kingdom is not of this world," says Jesus. There it is again, the door. Market noise swells. Coins kiss a table, a dove whirs up. Trump measures the crowd's warmth, the Romans' boredom, the disciples' focus. This isn't a rally, it's a well. People aren't here for a show, but for a voice that steadies them. He clears his throat, reaches for an elevator pitch, and finds only sky. For once, he is the one being sold. On humility. "Okay," he says at last, hands lowering. "Show me how you do it." "Come and see," says Jesus. The crowd parts and they step into the heat and dust of a road that has changed more men than they have changed it. The road through Galilee grows crowded. Children tag along, the curious follow, and fishermen leave boats rocking in shallow water just to listen. Jesus speaks of mustard seeds, of treasures buried in fields, but beside him another voice keeps booming, less parable, more pitch. "Folks," Trump announces, waving at baskets of bread, "we're talking serious growth potential here, tremendous opportunity, the loaves and fishes, amazing product, but branding, very weak. I can fix that." He gestures toward the disciples like a man unveiling a new real estate brochure. Imagine Trump and Jesus Healing Enterprises, LLC. We heal, we feed, we franchise. You get a miracle, you get a miracle. Everybody's happy. Huge success. Peter blinks. We're fishermen. Exactly, Trump says. Brand synergy. Nets, markets, distribution channels. I see potential. The disciples whisper among themselves, half amused, half baffled, while Jesus kneels beside a child, whispering blessings as if the world were small enough to fit in a hand. Trump shadows him everywhere. When Jesus teaches from a hillside, Trump mutters about better seating arrangements. When crowds press close, Trump waves his arms, insisting on VIP sections. He even floats the idea of a loyalty program. Pray 10 times, get the 11th free. People love deals. Then comes the day of the 5,000. The sun beats down, the people groan with hunger. Jesus raises loaves and fish, lifts his eyes and gives thanks. The baskets multiply until every belly is filled. Trump's jaw drops. Incredible, truly incredible. But think about this, what if we built the greatest buffet in Galilee? Marble floors, gold columns, unlimited breadsticks. Everyone says so. We could charge Romans double. The crowd cheers Jesus, not Trump. A woman wipes her child's mouth and smiles in gratitude, not for business, but for grace freely given. The Pharisees, however, frown deeper. They were already unsettled by Jesus, and now this foreigner barges in with boasts and bluster. Two troublemakers, one mutters. One speaks of heaven, the other of hotels. That evening, under olive branches, Jesus looks at Trump. Why do you seek glory in every deed? Trump raises his hands. Look, I like winning. People like winners. If you've got miracles, let's scale them. Bigger stage, bigger audience. That's how you change the world. The world is changed, Jesus says gently, by love, not spectacle. Trump pauses. For once, he doesn't have a quick line. The stars emerge, quiet and countless. Disciples gather near the fire, talking softly of grace and forgiveness. Trump sits apart, muttering, "Love doesn't trend, deals trend." Yet a flicker in his eyes betrays a thought he can't quite dismiss. Maybe this rabbi knows something he doesn't. The act closes with Trump staring at the fire, caught between the glow of ambition and a warmth he cannot brand. Jerusalem hums like a beehive. Streets choke with pilgrims, vendors, and Roman patrols. Flags of empire ripple above stone arches, and in the middle of it all walks Jesus, calm, deliberate, his followers trailing like shadows. And then, of course, there's Trump. "Listen, folks," he calls, pointing at the Roman banners. "Bad optics, very bad. We need better branding. How about an eagle, gold-plated, stronger message?" The disciples hush him, but Trump won't be hushed. He sees opportunity everywhere. The temple courts, the crowded steps, even the money changers' tables. His voice rises above the crowd. "Think of the campaign rallies we could hold here. Huge turnout. I'm telling you, Jerusalem's never seen anything like it." He tries slogans. "No more Romans. Make Judea great again." A few zealots cheer. Pharisees scowl. Romans grip their spears. The air grows thick with tension. Jesus enters the temple and drives out the merchants with a whip of cords. Coins scatter, doves scatter, hearts scatter. The sound of overturned tables crashes like thunder, and the crowd recoils in shock. Trump watches, half horrified, half impressed. "Now that's a statement piece," he mutters, but maybe a little too aggressive on the brand messaging. Later, Trump corners Pontius Pilate. "Governor, great to meet you. Terrific palace. But your tax system, total disaster. People hate it. And the roads? Don't get me started. Look, we could negotiate. Win-win. You drop the crucifixions, we build a wall, maybe a golf course. Tourism booms. Everybody loves it." Pilate stares as though a camel just quoted Greek philosophy. His eyes narrow, then he waves Trump away. Undeterred, Trump drifts into debates with the Pharisees. They quote law and tradition. He fires back with deal-making jargon. "Look, the Torah, fantastic document, but outdated, needs amendments. Let's make religion great again. Big crowds, better profits." The Pharisees sputter, furious, but Jesus answers them with parables. A vineyard, two sons, a cornerstone rejected. Each story cuts sharper than any contract. Trump watches, unsettled. He's used to winning with volume, with confidence, with spin. But this rabbi dismantles arguments with a quiet word, leaving only silence behind. That night, by the Mount of Olives, Trump tries again. Jesus, you've got momentum. You should run for King of the Jews. Big title, historic. People would vote for you in a landslide. Jesus replies softly, "My kingdom is not of this world." Trump frowns. Then what's the point? You've got followers, miracles, influence. You could own the place. The greatest among you will be your servant, Jesus says. Power fades. Love endures. Trump kicks at the dust. He doesn't understand. Or maybe he does, and that's why it unsettles him. Trump gazes toward the city walls, torn between ambition and an uncomfortable whisper in his chest. Maybe winning isn't everything. The sky darkens over Golgotha. Dust swirls, soldiers march, and crowds gather with a mix of grief, curiosity, and cruelty. Upon the beams of wood hangs Jesus, silent yet radiant, as if even agony cannot dim him. And standing near, for once without a boast, is Trump. He shakes his head. Terrible deal, really terrible. Crucifixion, should have negotiated harder. Romans are the worst. He strides toward the guards, pointing animatedly. Listen, guys, let's talk. You don't want this on your record. Bad optics, very bad. A spear lowers, shoving him back. For the first time, Trump realizes no deal can be made. No contract signed. No slogan chanted that will undo this. His mouth opens, but the words falter. The silence around the cross swallows them. Lightning cracks. The crowd gasps. Jesus lifts his eyes and prays for forgiveness, not for himself, but for those hammering the nails. Trump watches, stunned. Who asks mercy for enemies? Who calls this defeat a victory? Hours pass. The hill grows heavy with sorrow. At last, Jesus breathes his final words. Trump stares, hands fidgeting, chest tight. Something has shifted inside him, though he cannot name it. The tomb is sealed. Trump mutters to the disciples, "Not a good ending, very low energy, sad." Yet his voice lacks conviction. Then comes the morning. The stone is rolled away. Trump sees the empty tomb, hears the whispers. He is risen. And then, impossibly, Jesus himself stands before him, radiant, alive, unbound by death. Trump stumbles back, eyes wide. You did it. The ultimate comeback. Nobody's ever pulled off a win like this. Jesus smiles, patient as always. Trump runs a hand through his hair. I like winning, everybody knows that. And resurrection, that's the biggest win of all time. Huge, totally huge. Blessed are those who believe without seeing, Jesus replies. Trump hesitates. For once, he has no slogan. His voice softens. I don't get it, Rabbi. I don't understand how you gave everything up and still won. The last shall be first, says Jesus, and the meek shall inherit the earth. The words linger like an open door. Trump looks through it, almost stepping across. But then he straightens, flashing that familiar grin. Well, I was probably the greatest apostle. Maybe ever, people will say so. The disciples chuckle, shaking their heads. Jesus simply smiles, and with a blink of light, whether by miracle or mystery, Trump finds himself back in his own century. Towering buildings, neon signs, the familiar hum of power. Yet something inside him carries the echo of dusty roads, of loaves and fishes, of a rabbi who taught love instead of deals. He looks around, then mutters to himself, I was there. I was tremendous. Greatest time traveler, maybe ever. But for once, beneath the bluster, a quiet voice nags, reminding him that power fades, but truth does not. The story ends not with a slogan, but with a lesson. Pride can fill a man's mouth, but only humility can fill his soul.